Good morning. My name is Seham Tulba. I study business administration in Faculty of Commerce. Today we will discuss I cannot afford to lose this business, and start with the first point. Having performed a break-even analysis, how can salesperson use this information? And return back to the last slide. As we see here, break-even sales volume 30.6. That means if our sales volume more than this break-even, we are make a profit, but less than we are make losses. So how can salesperson benefit from this information, and how can deal with customers? We will concern in customers which who make profit for us, or less under the sales volume. And also from information we know the number of calls necessary to call a sales, and the average and also the direct selling expenses are budget to be as a percent of two sales. So these two informations we can to use it from the information from the break-even. And also, should a sales not call a customers whose sales volume doesn't exceed the minimum sales volume? Customers which not exceed the minimum sales volume, that means the customers with the under the break-even. Should we afford them or not concerned of them? The answer is not, because first, growing customers and growing sales, if we expected that our organization may be expansion of in the future, that means the customers be very important for our organization, because the customer will purchase more and more of our products and make profits for our organization. And also the location of the customer. If this customer already is the customer is not exceed a minimum sales volume, but this customers is location for our organization, and it's near on our organization, that means it not the expenses to deliver the goods or services for the customer be low. And also purchase of high profit product. And profit product, as we see at the previous of this chapter, sales volume, it's not the same of high profit product, because for example, if we have a supermarket and car agency, supermarket, sell more and more of products, for example with $1,000, but a car agency sell one car with $2,000. So in this case, one product sell with higher than several products. Sales and companies too are rarely inclined to return their backs to a sale. Sales, that means sales to customer not be growing and growing, which may be due to one or to any. We have one customer, but after the time we have more customers, and the sales volume in this case it it find by by getting larger share from the customer. Next to the next slide, a break-even account analysis provide a starting place from which to determine the minimum size account to should be called in. That means a break-even facilitate to our organization to determine what the minimum size account to that should be called. We will deal with large size of account of minimum size or little amount of from these customers. The analysis doesn't fully address the issue of how much time should be allocated to prospecting and how much to existing accounts in theory. Break-even account benefit or take our organization and the salesperson many indicators and information, but how much time should be allocated to prospecting? How time should I take for a specific prospect, and how existing account in theory, which methods should I use, and in any way in this analysis it's not clear. And also following are 4 methods for setting account priorities along with the solution in which each is most priorities, our opportunities and priorities for the organization. We use 4 methods and we will discuss it in the next afterward. This to mention it, these methods are selling factors model, profit models, decision models, and sales process models.
Listen. Thanks, Sam. Now we would like to sum up what Sam introduced to us. Now, if you are talking about sales call or sales, 2 important things must be identified by any sales agency. Number 1, time given for each customer or prospect. Number 2, number of phone calls given for customer or prospect. Now, last class we studied 2 approaches which is going to provide us with signals if our sales agency is winning and gaining profit or it is losing, by calculating call per cost or cost per call, and the second one by calculating the break-even sales volume. Those 2 approaches, or these 2 approaches, they cannot provide us with any information about the time which we should spend as a sales agency or as a salesperson with the prospect or the customer. Number 2, they are not providing anything regarding the number of the phone calls which I should dial for each prospect. Listen here. If the time which I'm going to invest in this customer is wasteless, counterproductive, this means that the sales agency is losing. The same thing, if I'm going to make in vain phone calls, in vain means useless. In vain, دون جدوى يعني, equivalent to the word useless. If I'm going to phone in vain the customers without having something called positive feedback from them, also we are losing. Therefore, so far we do not have a clear-cut information about what are the boundaries or the borders according to which the salesperson should act and work with the customers. Let's paraphrase what we are saying. What we would like to say is the following. Customers or prospects should be given various priority. Priority number 1, the most important customers or prospects. Priority number 2, the important prospects. Priority number 3, ordinary prospects. If we are talking about priority number 1, which refers to the most important or VIP customers or prospects, this means extra time or extra phone calls should be given for them.
Yes.
Why? To maintain them. And vice versa, or the same thing goes with priority number 2, priority number 3. The question now remains how we are going to classify, how we are going to prioritize our prospects. Well, as Sam said, we are going to tackle 4 models by which we are going to prioritize our own customers or prospects. Model number 1, single factor. Number 2, or model number 2, portfolio model. Model number 3, decision. Or finally, sales process model. These are the 4 basic models by which we can prioritize our customers or prospects. Well, if you are going to ask, are we talking about one perfect model? The answer is no. Because if we are talking about one perfect model, then why we should bother ourselves and study more than one model?
Yes.
Okay? So let's start with the first model, single factor. Who is going to talk about it?
Dalia Dali, study business administration level 3. I want to complete what Siham mentioned about the customer. Growing customer and customer sales, we as the salesperson must attract a new customer by break the new or promote the new service or product, and get the new customer and get the existing customer to buy more. To buy more, it's better way. Like Metro Market, it's make offer about the new goods, and some department store or shops import shoes, watches, and clothes from Turkey or Italy to attract and enhance new customer. And like borrowing or lending companies, it's give baby loan for micro enterprise, to customer. But when the in high interest, but when the customer be loyal, it's push down. They push down the interest. And about the location, the location of customer, we must take into account the place. We can afford the brands in large city in high price, and we can offer the service that the customer need in a traffic place in appropriate price. And we can in the farmland we can offer rebel insect. We can judge the price according to the standard of level. Purchase of high profit product. How we can get the high profit from the product? We must we can make the embroidery or accessories of home and personal, or artistic painting. When we made in low cost, but when we purchase it, when we sell it in high price. About other factors, when we enter the market, we must study it and know what the customer need or what the customer ask about. About this setting account priorities, we can we allocate the resources to according to the priorities. Just said.
Thanks.
Okay.
My name is Nabil Hello. Studied. My name is Nabil Hello. Study business administration at the 3rd level. Today I'm gonna talk about the single factor model, which is one of the four methods for setting account properties. Single factor model is from accounting perspective. Mean it's a model of security return that acknowledge it's more usually in the mature market when the demand and the competition are very stable, and it's single factor model the easiest and the probably most widely used model for allocating salesperson time, and that examines the single factor characteristic, usually sales volume. When we say sales volume, it's a return to the total quantity of items that sell for a business to make a profit. And sales volume, how to increase the sales volume by two ways: to clearly identify the target prospect, and the second one is to increase the interaction and the communication with the prospects. We have the main limitation of single factor model based on sales volume and procedure, that they may not include all factors that should be considered when evaluating account sales potential and lifetime value. And single factor model, it's also likely to be a property for sales forces program with a transaction type of account relationship strategy. And it's also not considering the opportunity to obtain greater account penetration, a greater share of account total purchase. We have example in the book. The average sales volume per month. There a company, Tom Cook, for travel, divide a group into three customers. We have A and B and C.
Sorry, according to the single factor model, Arish, which customer from A or B or C should be given the highest priority?
Which gain high profit or high revenue.
So
which is
the answer
C.
is going to be
C.
C. Yes, go on. Why?
Because his total revenue is the highest one in
Yes.
between the A and B.
Okay. That's it?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Quick clap. So let's remind you with what Arish said. Single factor model is called the traditional model. Why we are naming it to be the traditional model? Because this model is very narrow and it is focusing or zooming on one variable or characteristics, which is the sales volume. I think Saham, she indicated at the very beginning of the class, what did she say? What did she say? She said, if we are going, for example, to focus on the number of the items, in other words, to focus only on the sales volume, this doesn't always refer to the margin of profitability of the sales agency. In other words, the size or the big volume isn't always equivalent to the profit or to the sales growth. So this is considered to be one of the biggest limitations which this model, which is called the single factor model, is suffering from. In addition, this model, all the time, it is going to value or evaluate the richness or the value of the customer according, once again, to the size of the demanded products or services which he is asking for or which she is asking for. But let's talk about the item. Let's talk about the items and their characteristics, their own prices, their margin of profitability, how we are going to create or establish permanent long-term relationship with the customers. All these things are not classified by what? By the single factor model. So this model is considered to be what? A very traditional one and a poor one. Because all the time, remember, the prospect or the customer doesn't equal the word which is called sales volume. We are talking about other things. Well, as Ari said, in this model, imagine this is considered to be customer number C, this is customer number A, this is customer number B. According to the ideology of the single factor model, they will say customer number C is considered to be priority number 1. P, it refers to priority. But number A is going to be priority number 2. Number B, or the letter B, it refers to priority number 3. Simply why? Because this model is forgetting everything about the customer or the prospect. And we are focusing on one thing, which is exactly the sales volume which he is providing for us as a sales agency. If this is the margin, this means customer number C is considered to be the most valuable one and the most important one, who should be given extra time or extra effort on the account of prospect number A and the prospect number B. Clear? But as we said, this isn't always reflecting the actual circumstances of the customer or the prospect. Why? Because we are talking about first, long-term relationship with the customer, the quality or the nature of the items or the products which are purchased by this customer. All these things are marginalized or forgotten or are not considered by the first model. Therefore, the first model is considered to be imperfect, where huge criticism were forwarded against it. Okay? Because of this, we began talking about portfolio model. Haneen, please introduce yourself.
My name is Haneen Shaheen, Business Administration, Faculty of Commerce. Now we'll talk about the portfolio model, or the second model, to give priorities to the customers. The portfolio model is designed. The portfolio model is designed to overcome the shortcomings of the first single factor model. That is, it depends or it considers just the sales volume. This model tries to have multiple models. It's multiple factors when determining what priorities to be given to the customer, and it focuses on the attractiveness of the customer. So we have multiple factors to determine the degree of attractiveness to the customers. Setting effort is allocated so that the most attractive accounts receive the most effort. We have multiple factors to determine which is our attractive customer and which is the least attractive, which is moderately attractive. Figure 3-2, straight one, will know portfolio model. This model classifies accounts into 1 or 4 categories, determining the account opportunity, and the second factor is competitive position. By account opportunity, we refer to the up to what extent the customer needs. The customer needs our products now and in the future.
Excellent.
And the second factor is competitive position. I mean the relationship between the company and the customer. If there is a good relation or if there is bad relation, and the attitude of the customer toward our products, and the portion of his sales purchase from our products, margin of profits of our product. This model depicts, as we said, that there is 4-quadrant grid, consists of 4 quadrants. The core accounts are the most basic accounts according to this model, and we have high account opportunity. By this we mean that he will be in a bad need for our customers today or in the future. And in the competitive position, if it's strong, we have a high portion of his purchases, and we have a high also profit margin from his purchases. Accounts are very attractive. They are priority number 1. And we must invest heavily in selling resources. So we must exert much effort and cost and time to attract these customers, and we should maintain them.
Because his account opportunity is very high and his competitive position is very strong.
Yes.
So we are talking about 2 positive signs for core accounts. So priority number 1 should be given for
core accounts.
Exactly. Go on.
The second type or the second category is growth accounts. We have positive sign. Also we have a negative sign. We have a weak competitive position. He may have a bad attitude toward our products,
or may he not purchasing from us. So they are called growth accounts because we have high opportunity. They may have a high, they may have, or they may need our products in the future. So they are called growth accounts. In the future, they may grow and they may need our products more. So accounts are potentially attractive, not completely attractive. May want to invest in heavily. We have talked that may want to invest in heavily, not invest heavily. We must here invest.
May talks about probability.
Probability, yes.
So it's up to the decision of the senior management, either to invest or not to invest. Okay.
The third category is drag accounts. We talk about low opportunity and we talk about strong competitive position. He may have purchases from us, but it's not so high. We may not profit. He is not lucrative for us, and he have low opportunity. We may not have the products that can satisfy his needs. So he didn't need our products. Accounts are moderately attractive, and we should invest enough to maintain current position. Otherwise, we will up to this level. We must just expend effort and time, and cost, just to maintain them.
So we are referring here to the status quo.
Yes. الوضع الحالي. We should maintain our status quo. After that, if we have exerted more effort or time or cost, we will be in loss. The fourth category is problem accounts. Problem accounts, they have bad signs from the two factors. Accounts are very unattractive, minimal investment of selling resources, or we should drop their customers because they are unprofitable for us. Portfolio model is, as we have talked about, as we have said before, there is account relationship strategies and 4 or 3 types. There is consultative type, and also there is transactional type, and there is enterprise type. This model, do you think that it focuses on transactional or consultative, or the last one is enterprise? Why?
Make long relationship with customers.
Also because of what? Long relation.
Long relation, and they focusing on many type of customer, not who give the high probability.
Yes. What else? We talk about relatively long relation. Also, we talk about somewhat high investment. Here we have invest heavily, and here we'll invest, and here we will invest, but here we will not invest. So there is high investment from both parties, the customer and the supplier, so that it's a relatively consultative type. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before sitting, now, if you are going to rank them according to priority or according to the importance, how we are going to rank them?
This is the priority number 1.
Would you mind to clean the board so that and try to number them? 1 is the most important, 4 is the least important.
Yes.
So which one is going to be entitled for number 1?
Core accounts will have priority number 1,
okay,
and growth
number
accounts will have priority number 2. Drag accounts will have priority number 3, and this is 4. Invest enough to maintain current customers, but there we will invest more. Or what?
So what do you think? Should we switch 2 instead of 3 or 3 instead of 2? As Hanin wrote.
I think in drag account, priority number 2.
Priority number 2.
Because accounts are moderately attractive.
No.
Why agree with
I disagree with you. Here we have a high opportunity, account opportunity. I mean, he needs our product. Our products are satisfying his needs, but here, competitive position, we may have some vehicles or tools to attract him and maintain him, but here, he don't need our products. But he's strong he purchases from us. He don't need our products, but here, he need our products. So if we have some tools to attract him, he will be good.
But what do you think between 2 and 3? We are discussing and thinking in a very loud voice.
Yes.
In number 2, we are talking about a very high level of risk, a very high level of probability.
Yes.
But in number 3, we do not have such risk. We do not have such wide range of probability. Therefore, I think we are going to work with a kind or with a level of certainty when we are dealing with the drag accounts, more than a growth account. What do you think, Hanin?
No, I don't think so.
You do not agree?
No.
That's fine. That's fine. Other points? Other points? Thanks, Hanin. Big clap, Hanin. Family member, once again, before 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we were talking about what is the biggest resource by which we can ensure a sales agency growth or a sales agency profitability. We said maintaining our current customers. If you are going to look here, where is our current customers? You are going to find them to be drag accounts. Yes or not? Yes. Drag accounts, they are classified to be the biggest resource by which we can ensure sustainability, growth, and profitability of our sales agents. In addition, the level here of certainty is greater than here. Once again, here we are talking about what? Probability. With this probability, it might be very high, or it might be very risky. Or later on, we might not invest at all. But here, we are playing on the playground which is familiar to us. Therefore, we will continue working as we used to work in the past. Because of this, according to this analysis, we believe that this is priority number 2, or this is priority number 3, or this is the final one. Are you convinced now, Haneen? Yes. Yes? Any question, any comments about this? This is important. Very important. Go on. Now we are going to go to the second model, which is called decision.
I am Imani Khel, studied business administration at level 3. I will talk about decision model. Decision model applied to overcome some shortcoming happened in the previous model. So we discussed the shortcoming. We have 2 shortcomings. The first, account must still be grouped into the 4 quadrants for the purpose of allocating sales code. Allocating sales call means salesperson must decide which customer who should spend more cost and more time with him, or how much I should spend. I should make number of calling for this customer. And we have differences between firm at the same quarters. We have differences at the same firm, so it's not considering take into consideration. And this is purpose of allocating sales call doesn't arrive the optimal allocation of the sales call. I will discuss for the chart. So decision model. Focusing so much and respond to the each account in the quarters of the sales, the number of sales call at the period of time. This is the chart discussed the relation between number of sales call per quarters and the dollar sale per quarter. Here we for example, when we make the first sales call for the one customer, we don't found the more response of the customer as here. One call, for example, for the customer will not
will provide us with this volume.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
We don't found much response of the customer. We make the another call for the customer. Here we will face the little increase of the response of the customer, and the third and call from 3 to 4 calling. We arrive to the peak of the response of the customer. So the sales will increase and the profit will increase, but after the time we will face that customer. We arrive to flatter response of the customer.
Why?
Because he bored of the shift to the another brand or another company. He first may offer in the market, so we will don't respond to this company, and we will it may be decrease or it's decreased after the period of time. In these cases, we must we should found to another customer or attracting a new customer and make the process at the first 1 calling and 2 calling to to generate more response of the customer and more profit.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Let's back to return back to the shortcomings or limitation of the portfolio model. In portfolio model, imagine we are going to talk about 2 customers here, or 3 or 4. Let's ask ourselves this simple question. Do you think, is it enough to distinguish among these 3 customers according to their level of attractiveness? It isn't enough. Why? Because we are talking about a customer. This customer is a person, a human being. He is influenced by various or by more than one factor, by more than one characteristics, by more than one issue. He is a human being. He is thinking. He is having feelings. He is having emotions and so on. Because of this, we cannot classify persons according to these 4 quadrants. In each quadrant, we cannot classify the person according to one factor. Because here we are talking about one factor. But what about the other factors of this person? Are these discussed by portfolio model? No, they are not discussed. A second thing, process doesn't arrive at the optimal allocation of the sales call. What's the meaning of optimal? Exactly, the ideal allocation of the sales call. How we should talk about the sales calls? In other words, how many phone calls should we give for each customer out from the 4 types of our prospects? Is the portfolio model provided us with any information about these things? Of course no. Then we became talking about the decision model. The decision model tried to cover this gap. What is the gap? How many phone calls we should give for the customer according to their own classification or priority. The decision model is saying we would like to measure one thing, which is called response of the customer or a prospect. This response will be calculated by the number of the phone calls and later on by calculating the dollar sales per quarter. If you are going to give 1 phone calls, this means we are going to get this sales dollar. If you are going to try with another phone call, then our sales is going to increase. A 3rd phone call, it is going to increase more and more. A 4th one, more and more. A 6th, the highest at this level. This is the peak. Later on, do you think is it necessary to give 7 and 8 calls for our customers? The decision model is saying to us, no. Therefore, you are going to find that we are talking about almost a stable level of the relationship between the sales agency and the customer. And we said why? 2 reasons. Number 1, increased loyalty. Of the prospect or the customer. So this person, he became loyal to us. He knows us and we know him. So do you think is there any need to make further phone calls? No. Number 2, this customer might be saturated by our product or service. What's the meaning saturated? Satisfied. Chabba. So do you think we should make other phone calls? Of course not. Because these phone calls are going to be in vain. In vain. Useless.
Yes.
So because of this, we are talking about what? Stable level here. Any question about the decision model? Now, next time we are going to begin with the sales model, sales process model. Who is going to explain this? Go on. Sales process model. The sales process model, it talks about the sales funnel. Okay? Along with this. Don't worry, I'm going to help you. Next, sales versus profit. It's yours. Sales versus profit. Customer lifetime value. You explained before that? No. Okay. Customer lifetime value. Please write it down. It's yours. Final thing, time management. It's yours. Any question, any comments about today's class? Thank you very much.